Hello there, welcome to Showcase. Artists Hilma F. Klint and Piet Mondrian never met and probably weren't even aware of each other's work. But now their pieces are side by side at a London exhibition that celebrates their similarities.
Straight black lines and a few splashes of color. It's unmistakably by Dutch artist Piet Mondrian. The piece is part of an exhibition at Tate Modern called Forms of Life, one that also includes works by Swedish artist Hilma F. Klint. They were both leading figures in the abstract art movement in the late 19th century, a period of huge change. They never met, but there are parallels in how they reacted to this pivotal moment in history.
It's a moment of seismic shifts. There's incredible technological discoveries, scientific discoveries, the discovery of the atom, the invention of the X-ray, radiography, radiation. And this is a seismic shift in the way that artists and the broader populations look at the universe that we occupy. And both of these artists were really thinking about universal patterns and forces that underlie our world.
In the early 20th century, art was moving away from the naturalistic, impressionist style that had dominated the previous 100 years. But for both Klint and Mondrian, the natural world was still a source of inspiration.
They both start out as landscape painters in the early 1890s. And that's a really interesting point of intersection for their practices. But the point really of the show is to demonstrate that their close observations of nature and landscape in many ways shaped the radical abstract languages that they would go on to develop, each in their own distinct way.
But what could possibly link Mondrian's stark black lines and geometric shapes with landscape painting? Well, his earlier works give a hint to the direction his work was going.
He starts to pull the vertical and the horizontal as the kind of basis of his painting, even when he's meditating on the form of the tree, where again he's starting to distill the tree to its kind of most fundamental rhythms, you know, the verticality of the base, the horizontality of the branches. And you really see him slowly start to pare down that language into the horizontals and verticals that we encounter in a work like this.
As for Klint, she claimed to be a medium and thought higher powers guided her artwork. She faced a lot of sexism at the academy where she studied, and for the show's curator, this was perhaps her way of coping.
I think, you know, joining a spiritualist context perhaps enabled her to move away from some of the conventions of representation and art making that she was trained in during her lifetime, because the paintings that she makes are absolutely radical and overturn everything that we know at that moment in terms of color, form, and scale.
Around 250 works are on display at the exhibition, and it invites viewers to see how both artists, unknowingly but similarly, influenced what modern and contemporary art would become.
Calendars, drink cans, cleaning towels, Cengiz Cekil used such objects to provoke discussions about current issues, all while raising questions about time, death, and faith. Now an Istanbul exhibition is paying tribute to the pioneering figure of conceptual art in Turkey. Zeynep Gökçe has more.
Late artist Cengiz Cekil made this self-portrait in the 1970s. It's one of the rare pieces that reflects his education in classical art at the exhibition called I Am Still Alive. But the rest of the some 40 works Istanbul's Arte has gathered is a comprehensive display of what he was best known for, giving mundane materials new meanings. And for the exhibition's curator, the time Cekil spent in Paris as a young man had a big influence on his artistic style.
In 1970, when he goes to the Beaux-Arts with government scholarship to study, it's the time when all the avant-garde movements in Europe are emerging, and they're sort of dealing with the traumas of the Second World War, the Vietnam War, and really questioning both the societal structures and also the values of art. And I believe that Cekil was really influenced by that. So he's actually thinking about life from the very specific, very mundane, transforming it to really think about the details of life and to cherish the moment.
Cekil returned to Turkey in 1975, and from that point on, his practice reflected on the socio-political circumstances of the day. He witnessed coups, internal migration, rapid urbanization, and the growing influence of popular culture and consumerism. Cekil tackled these issues from a critical standpoint combined with humour. And amongst all that, some themes in his work stood out, such as death, energy, faith, and...
Well, time is definitely what he's obsessed with. He uses a lot of watches, a lot of wall clocks, and newspapers as well, and like the calendar that we see behind us.
The work pays tribute to an extensive calendar that's been published every year since 1860. It includes weather predictions, anecdotes about historical events, verses from Quran, and more. But for Bergman, the piece that best defines Cekil's practice is this one. It's called A Mortal Monument and was slightly modified for this retrospective.
It is reminiscent sort of a graveyard, and the work itself then becomes a grave site of its own with the headstones of its birth and death, which is the opening and the closing dates of the exhibition. So we normally think about monuments as eternal things, of things that leave a mark in history to make events or important people or ideologies immortal. But when we are erecting these monuments in public spaces, one always misses the point that everything is temporary, even these people, even these events, and they are bound to be forgotten.
And so will perhaps this exhibition that gets its name from a line Cekil wrote in one of his works called Diary. Though his timeless art is still here to remind us mortals that every moment matters. Zeynep Gökçe, TRT World.
A high-rise commercial building in the Ivorian capital, also known as the Pyramid, is an architectural masterpiece that's been abandoned for 20 years. But international and local artists are now hoping to breathe some life into it through giant murals. Here's more.
I think it's a rather futuristic building, but it's one that has been left and neglected. To make it so that we have a new interesting look this time, to question the rehabilitation. This is a project that I take immense pleasure in. And it's also a way for me to be able to take part in the writing of a story that is happening here, now.
Abidjan is a city that has a lot of architectural heritage that unfortunately is not sufficiently promoted, and a project like this one allows us to really shine a light on a building like the Pyramid.
Waste is a growing problem around the world, and what to do with it is perhaps a bigger one. But a park called Waste Wonder in the northern Indian city of Chandigarh is offering some hints, and it's all part of a garbage-free city mission to promote cleaner cities.
These sculptures have been made to promote upcycling. They've been made using scrap metal parts, including old pipes, old rims, old chains, and old items that are available with the Chandigarh Municipal Cooperation and lying in their stores. They provided it to me, and using my imagination, I made these robotic sculptures.
Back in 1973, Paramount returned to feature film animation after a 30-year absence. The outcome was Charlotte's Web, and in our movie almanac, Alican investigates how this production became one of the most famous non-Disney movies that still has a hold on the 21st century.
My name is Charlotte A. Cavatica. Chin up, every little time your spirits will...
Based on an E.B. White's children's book of the same name, Charlotte's Web tells the story of an unlikely friendship between Wilbur the pig and Charlotte the spider. The film was released by Paramount in 1973. By then, the Disney brothers had died, and their company's budget was tight.
Here it comes. That special musical treat the whole family has been waiting for.
Paramount teamed up with Hanna-Barbera Productions, known for TV favorites like the Flintstones and the Jetsons. And they recruited Disney alumni like directors Charles Nichols, Iwao Takamoto, and composer team the Sherman Brothers.
Thinking of, but there's something more I'm feeling, must be love.
The musician siblings brought prestige with them from Disney, with credits including Mary Poppins and the Aristocats. Disney's animation was known for its lavish visuals and spectacle. Charlotte's Web's more muted style didn't help it at the box office, but it was still recognized as cute, heartwarming, and imaginative. And it was considered an improvement over previous Paramount cartoons.
You can do better than that.
With reviews lauding the background drawings and the credits sequence as pencil sketch impressionism, reminiscent of Gareth Williams's original illustrations from the book. In the 1990s, Charlotte's Web made a comeback in home entertainment, becoming a best-selling title.
Make lots of new friends here, Wilbur. Just be yourself.
And in the 2000s, an animated sequel and a live-action digital hybrid remake were released.
Will!
Oh, Spider, get away!
Salutations. My name is Charlotte A. Cavatica.
Hi, I've never met a spider before.
Again, in contrast to the more spectacle-driven Disney movies, the 2006 version was called Quiet and Humble, despite its star-studded cast.
Hurt me.
I'm making you a promise. I am going to save you.
You're a spider. How are you going to stop them?
With the right words, you can change the world.
And the happiest motion picture of the year.
It's a quality shared by the 1973 original, and it shows that a timeless story well told can a classic make.
Watergate is one of the most debated political scandals in U.S. history. Many films and TV shows have dissected the infamous intrigue from various angles. Now, a new series provides another camp's viewpoint of the whole saga.
Plumbers, we fix leaks.
White House Plumbers was the nickname given to a special investigations unit operating under President Richard Nixon. The group received global attention for its involvement in the Watergate scandal.
We now work for the committee to re-elect the president.
White House Plumbers, the series, dons the perspective of Howard Hunt and Gordon Liddy. They are the alleged masterminds of the scandal, and the show chronicles how they ended up ruining the reputation of their own administration.
He has the wrong tools.
According to the writers, today's viewers can relate to their show due to similar turmoil in current U.S. politics.
Walk straight in the front door. It's a double-sided deadbolt.
We just had a Pentagon paper leak and a president indicted, so it's all, you know, it reverberates historically. So, you know, the things that happened 51 years ago can obviously happen again at any point in time.
I'll be going to prison.
Wait, what?
And apparently, there is a reason why history keeps repeating itself in Washington, D.C.
You tell those spineless, two-faced politicians loyalty is a two-way street.
The reason we're seeing it happen is because people are not students of history, or you would see it coming. You would know which pitfalls you're about to step into, and they never do.
Why are you shredding money?
We're patriots acting in the country's best interest.
With the upcoming 2024 U.S. presidential election and the Watergate anniversary, White House Plumbers is received as a timely satire that might make voters think twice before casting their ballot.
Real estate prices in the UK are driving people to come up with alternative living methods. No, not flat sharing with other people, but using dumpsters for accommodation. At least that's what Londoner artist Harrison Marshall did to protest against soaring rent bills.
Rent fees in London went up by 17% last year, and artist Harrison Marshall felt the need to make a statement. So he moved into a waste container. An arts charity provided him the land, and Marshall spent around nearly $5,000 to renovate this dumpster in South London.
This is where I sleep.
At the moment, he has his own bed chambers.
So this is the main living space.
A small kitchen. And a garden with a portable lavatory.
I was doing some work abroad and I was moving back to London and had to start that kind of dreaded hunt for a room. And as was the case with thousands of people across the city and across the country, the prices had gone crazy, you know, rent was mad. And even if I found somewhere that was in my price zone, then there'd be 100 other people also looking for that room.
To make his environment feel more homely, Marshall fitted the accommodation with essential services.
Now I do finally have electricity so I can cook. I've got a heater, I've got a dehumidifier because the condensation was starting to become a little bit of a problem. And then in terms of the toilets, I've got the portaloo in the corner of the site.
And if you think living in a dumpster gets in the way of socializing with the neighbors, well, think again.
All the neighbors are amazing actually, they're super friendly. Everyone's very supportive. I've got neighbors coming and bringing homemade meals, or if they see me doing anything in the garden, they'll come and help out. So that's a massive bonus to the whole project, is just that this area seems to have a really good community.
The rental market may be inspiring people to come up with radical art statements like this, but it seems even then, it's possible to make a connection with the community. Maybe fellow Londoners can relate to Marshall's situation after all.
A Japanese artist has created realistic daily objects, so realistic that Some might find them charming, while others quite simply gross. Let's take a look.
Are these creepy or cute? Well, people have mixed opinions.
It's a bit weird. It's like so realistic that definitely takes you by surprise. But it's really cool, yeah. I feel it's too real. I feel a bit gross. But no, it's really cool, yeah.
Drawing from horror and sci-fi films, Japanese artist and DJ Masataka Shishido first created a flashy MIDI pad controller as an artwork for his 2017 album. But his fascination with human flash-like objects has since grown.
I was inspired by a movie called The Fly, which is about a human being merging with a fly. I think it was really cool to merge things together. That's why I wanted to combine daily objects with human flesh.
So he produced a series of artistic pieces, including a finger stamp and USB, a coin purse shaped like a human's mouth, an eye dice that has a realistic blinking function activated by a remote controller, and a human skin iPhone case.
Once people learned that it's a piece of art with some specific function, they started saying it's cute and interesting.
Shishido draws the design by hand and then takes it to a partner's studio. Then it takes about 1 to 2 months to turn the idea into a realistic artwork.
When I come up with an idea or design, I draw it on paper and take it to the studio jur. Based on my sketch, they will make a shape like this and pour silicone into the mold. After that, they will paint it or plant hair to fine-tune the work.
3 years ago, Shishido started selling his creations online, and among 30 types of flashy objects, the ones with facial expressions are the most popular. And people willing to pay around $4,000 prefer customized pieces with their own eyes replicated on the artwork. Now, Shishido hopes for an exhibition to showcase what some call his way too interesting artworks to larger crowds.
Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds celebrates its 60th anniversary. Some critics call it the director's last classic as far as his storytelling is concerned. But in our movie almanac, Alican explains how it also showcases another side of Hitchcock's cinema, hidden symbolism.
In The Birds, San Francisco socialite Melanie follows his new crush Mitch to Bodega Bay. Around the same time, unexplained bird attacks on locals begin to occur in the area. Upon release, it received mixed reviews. But today, critics call it Alfred Hitchcock's last flawless film.
I don't know, it seemed to swoop down at you deliberately.
And critics point out it's the psychological symbolism in it that adds to the birds' allure.
Look! Hey! No touching allowed! Why didn't Nanny stay for dinner?
Said something about going home to take a call from her sister in the East.
In the movie, Mitch's life consists of his relationships with his mother, sister, and former lover.
Yeah, but she'll be hitting all the heavy traffic going back to San Francisco.
Just listen to those lovebirds.
Academics suggest the arrival of Melanie disturbs this balance, and that the bird attacks are visual manifestations of this tension.
Cover your faces! Cover your eyes! I wonder if you could help me.
Accordingly, portrayal of the birds change as the story progresses. The couple meet while buying lovebirds from a shop. That's when they're first attracted to each other. As Melanie and Mitch begin to spend time together, the bird attacks become more serious. Even characters in the movie blame Melanie for the ordeal. Scholars point out the women in Mitch's life symbolize nature, and suggest the arrival of Melanie disrupts that environment.
I think you're the cause of all this. I think you're evil! Evil!
Hitchcock himself didn't deny the nature's revenge subtext. He's quoted as saying that the birds in the movie punish people for taking nature for granted. That message may not be in the forefront of the movie, maybe not even in the background, but still, given that Hitchcock's filmography at times reveals his interest in the subtextual, The Birds comes across as a fitting addition.
That's it for this episode of Showcase. I'm Esra Dürüst. From me and the whole team here in Istanbul, thanks for watching and bye for now.